What's up, guys? Today's video we're going to talk about clearing a pine and cedar thicket and how to turn it into a beautiful clover food plot. This is actually fairly easy to do, but there are some steps you need to follow in order to have great results when you actually do this. So we are going to go over this step by step with renting the skid steer, how to prep the soil, and how to have that beautiful clover food plot that everybody wants to have to not only attract deer, grow deer, but also be able to shoot deer. First step is actually being able to rent a skid steer. We found actually a brochure inside of a Tractor Supply. We called them. It was somebody renting a skid steer, and it's actually cheaper than you actually think it is. It's not really that expensive for, you know, a day of renting the skid steer, because you can clear out a lot of land in a short amount of time. So first thing we did, like I said, we rented that skid steer. We had it delivered to the farm, and we had this certain area on the farm that was actually right next to an open field. It had this 1 acre patch of cedars and pines that butted up against the hardwoods. Actually, it was a pines, but it was just a solid, thick stand of pines. This was kind of more of scattered pines. Keep this in mind. In those cedar and pine areas, usually the soil is going to be pretty acidic. So to have the best results, when all this is done, you're going to have to get a soil sample, and you're probably going to have to add lime like we did. Now, the easiest way to do this is when the ground is semi-moist. It's not frozen, it's not muddy, but you just get in there with this skid steer, take that bucket and put it up about 3-4 feet high, flat up against a tree. You can push these pines and cedars right over. They uproot fairly easy. When you do that, though, it's always best to lift that tree up and just give that bucket a shake, knock a lot of that dirt off, and take that tree and you can take it elsewhere. Pick out your trees that you want to take out. If you want to clear out the entire 1 acre, uproot those trees, knock them down, and it's always best to take those trees away from your area. Take them across the field to the other side, scatter them throughout, create a barrier somewhere that you need a barrier for access. You can use them for that, stack them up, use them for access to access your stands and so forth. So it's pretty easy. Knock them babies down, shake that dirt off, and get them out of there. I also dropped a comment down below, and I pinned it to the top with a link to a video that you guys can watch where you can get more information on some skid steers. Now, I did tell you that it was actually fairly cheap to rent this skid steer. This skid steer rental was $250 delivered to the farm for a full 8 hours. Yes, we had to put some gas in it, no big deal, but for $250, it's cheap. You can clear that acre out or whatever size it is. You might need it for an extra day. Almost got hit, but it's fairly easy, fairly cheap. Get this done, clear a lot of land in a short amount of time. Drop a comment down below, guys. Let me know what state you're in, and if you have rented a skid steer, let me know how much it costs. I'm very curious because I know it changes from state to state. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you got. Once you get all this junk out of there, get those trees out, level it out, take your bucket, smooth everything out, go ahead and get your soil sample. Get your soil sample. Most likely, like I said, you're gonna have to add lime. Add that lime in there as soon as possible. You can prep to the next step. The next step with this is you want to get in there in springtime, get something planted. The first year on this, we actually planted soybeans. We got the soybeans in there. It was like we added this 1 acre to the the additional 2 acres that we already had. So now we had 3 acres total. Planted 3 acres of soybeans. Got those planted in there the first year. Came back in the fall and we planted the entire thing in brassicas, but we mixed in clover. It's always best sometimes, in some cases, if it's a new field, plant that clover in the fall. That way in the springtime, it's one of the first things to green up. You can establish a nice, beautiful clover food plot. That we had this clover in there. We hunted over it, seen a lot of deer. The following spring, we came in and I let that grow up into the summer a little bit. I came through one time, sprayed that with Imox. Imox is an herbicide, kills both weeds and grasses. We mowed it one time and we were left with a beautiful stand of clover. You cannot get no better than that, guys. Some other things with this, when clearing cedars and pines, is that pines, all the branches and everything is up high, so these pines don't really offer any benefit to the deer herd. A lot of times they shade out. You get a big thicket of it, pines and stuff, they shade out a lot of the ground. You don't get no regrowth, and there's no food at ground level for the deer. Not only that, I'll spend the $250 to have fun. It's fun to have some habitat worked on and running that skid steer, and they had tracks on it. I recommend you can get one with tracks on it. but also be careful with this. It can be dangerous, you know, have a tree fall back on you, but just be safe with it. And it's a great way to improve your habitat, provide more food for the wildlife and animals. And you don't have to plant clover, you can plant anything you want. This was just an example of what we did on our property. If you guys want to learn more about land management and food plots, watch this video right here. It's going to help you guys out a lot.